Welcome to Italics, television for the Italian-American experience. I'm your host, Anthony Tamburri. On this episode, we visited Pietro Toscano at his gelato shop in the West Village, and we went to Midtown Loft Terrace for Ilica's 17th conference and evening gala entitled Past, Present, and Future. Born in Italy, food entrepreneur Pietro Toscano started his business in Italy before moving to the United States. Confronted by the pandemic, he encountered challenges that led to the closure of his restaurants. Recently, he embarked on a new venture by opening a gelato shop. Let's head to the West Village to discover more.
Giulietta used to be like the icon of the Italian cars in the world, like a prestige made from Alfa Romeo, a well-known Italian brand. One of the purposes was to promote the Italian quality product in the world. Cioccolato fondente o normale?
Devo riscaldare la
base. Ok, perfetto. Gelato, it's like different from ice cream, especially our product. Our gelato maker, Gelatai, produce everything from scratch. Milk, sugar, glucose, and some stabilizer, and then obviously we mix, depends the case, if it's pistachio or hazelnut, and all these raw ingredients. That's the base made with milk. Takes for them, like a couple hours, 3-4 hours to make it. It's the one they use for all the dairy flavors. You just need to add the ingredients, can be pistachio, it can be an hazelnut, almond. They come here in the morning really early and they make it fresh every day. It's something that it's not made anymore. It's called ricetta antica, it's like antique recipe. It's like even in Italy now they don't use it anymore because it's like really hard and long process. You see a lot of gelato places just using powder of flavors, mixing with milk or water and throwing in the machine. That's how it comes out. Like here it takes each flavors between the base and the ingredients we use takes more than 3-4 hours then. We mix them and then we let it rest for a couple hours. We import everything from Italy. For example, our pistachio is from Bronde, from Sicily. Questa è il pistacchio. La base l'hai già creata, eh?
La base è pronta.
Okay. We pay actually price. It's expensive, but the quality works. A lot of people coming mostly for few of these flavors because you don't find the same quality around. Like hazelnut are the best hazelnut from north of Italy, Piemonte. Almonds are from Puglia. So basically, almost every flavor has an ingredient from a region of Italy. Beside the classic Italian flavors, we try to offer something different, from the cheesecake to the salted caramel, the mint, chocolate mint. You don't really see these flavors in Italy, but we try to offer this, There was a request also of some of our customers. Deep Night, the Valrhona, we import some chocolates from France to produce these flavors. And basically it's just chocolate or cocoa with a little bit of sugar and water. In Italy, the fruit flavors are mostly made just with water. That's it. So water, fruit, and a tiny bit of sugar, and that's it. It's like eating fruit. Can be substitute sometimes a meal, especially summertime. It's refreshing.
We also make cakes, small pastries. Also, we just started with macaron filled with gelato. Until March, when the season starts again, with the nice days, springtime, gets much busier.
I believe gelato is healthier than ice cream. For the ice cream, many times beside the sugars, there's a high content of cream There's a high content of corn syrup, which is not good at all. Molasses, honey. You don't need all this stuff because the fruit already contains sugars. It's not just about gelato, it's not just about ingredients. For us, it's a lifestyle. I'm originally from Basilicata. Basilicata it's like a small region in the south of Italy, in the heart of Italy. One of the best Italian gelato makers in the world was actually from my city. So I always had a passion, even just looking at him, showing some interest. So I had a basic, let's say, knowledge of this. I learned a lot from our gelato makers. Both of them are from Sicily. Sicily produces some of the best gelato. One of the best gelateria right now is actually from Noto. Not far from where they are, our gelato makers, and not far from where they learn. One of them started to work when he was almost 15. Now he's 34 years old. He's 19 years of experience in this business. The other one is almost 10 years. So it takes a while, It's over there, it's different. At the beginning, it's kind of an internship. You work 4, 5, 6 years just to learn. But that's how you start, your career. I started working in a restaurant as all college kids as a waiter. I started exporting Italian products, mostly from Tuscany, from Puglia, from the area where I'm coming from. And then I moved to the United States, and I kept doing the same things, importing food from overseas, and slowly I get into the food restaurant business. That's when I had 3 restaurants with my 2 business partners, and unfortunately, we have been hit really, really bad from the pandemic. We were forced to close. After that, we decided to open a gelateria. Even before moving to the United States, whenever I was coming, visiting, has always been in my mind. So what flavors would you like?
Just stracciatella e pistachio.
Pistachio, okay. It wasn't easy at all. The difference was mostly, yes, cultural. It was really difficult having a business over here than Italy. Here we go. Mostly because some of the products I was trying to sell, showing around, were not really known as in Italy. So it took for me a while to introduce them over here.
But it's locked, there's a lock? Yeah. So we just received this delivery. We're gonna take them upstairs so they can start making the bases. And yeah,
Where
that's it.
from?
These are all from Italy, from a local distributor importer who brings everything from Italy. Just, this side you see here, right here? Just this is more than $15,000. These few boxes. $15,000. It's not easy to find a good one. This is a good brand, and we buy from them. It's a good product. Both of them, these 2. One, take the other one too. And then, yeah, and so make this one too. An artist made this for us. We requested, it's custom made. Unfortunately, with the times going on right now, people, they try to steal several times, breaking it, we fix it, but there's no way. They keep it.
Una pubblicità.
The lifestyle was completely different. The sizes of the cities, the rushing, of the days, the hours. It's been really, really difficult. It took me for almost a couple of years to adapt. Coming from a culture like the one in Italy, when you enjoy your coffee, you enjoy your time. It was totally different. West Village is a destination, so a lot of people walk around, shop around. It's the shopping area. It's now where a lot of actors, well-known people live. So many of them, they stop by, on a daily basis. For us, it's not just selling a product, selling a quality product. It's like almost educating people to what we are trying to sell. It's not just about like making money. You don't make money like after 2 years, honestly. We are proud of what we are doing. It's like about a passion. It's like part of our culture. It's the truth. My wife can confirm it, but I never sit down. Never sit down. Like I wake up every morning at 5 and I go to sleep at 1. Sometimes at 2. This is one of the other challenges here in New York. As I say, it's like always in a rush, If you want to have a success, you have to be on top of the demands and on top of your business and everything. Okay, perfect. Vabbè. Okay, ciao. Especially in New York, if you're making small mistakes, you gotta pay for it. So I can make it.
Aspetta, ora come c'è, ora te lo rimando, dai. Però
Now, especially with the social media, if you make a small mistake, it's not even a mistake. People don't like something about your business, there's a review. A review, can even ruin sometimes your business. A lot of American people travel overseas, so they know, for instance, they know the products better than some Italians now. It can be gelato, it can be also the wine. They have like a really good knowledge of Italian culture, and that's why I believe, it's getting more and more appreciated, and then it's like spreading even like more and more all over the United States. So when they come, you say, buongiorno, come va, come sta, volete provare qualcosa, right? They say, Pietro, I know a few words in Italian, which is like, ciao or buongiorno, that's it. Now they're coming often, sometimes this place becomes like, I feel like I'm having classes, when like it's not busy, they stop by for a gelato, for a coffee, and they keep learning Italian words, and they say, Pietro, whenever I go to Italy, I've been using these words, I feel proud, I'm so happy. I like what I'm doing, I like working a lot. It's something that comes from my father. My father was being like a hard worker, thanks to him. And I see the results. The more results I see, the less I'm gonna sleep in the future. So, because I'm gonna keep doing it.
But it should be the opposite. The more results, you will have time to relax.
It's not part of my character, so. After 2 years they will be open. We see a lot of progress. We just opened a second location in 5th Avenue, next to the Empire State Building. One day we were looking for something in Midtown. We had an appointment, we didn't like a place. So on the way back, we just stopped by, we found this one. It wasn't really on the market, but we called and we got the space. We liked it and then we decided to take it over. Over here we're gonna have the gelato display, the freezer, and over here we're gonna have another display, refrigerated for dessert, Italian cakes. Next to a counter also for pastries, or Italian pastries. We're making the other location we bring over here. I gotta come here 2-3 times a day. If I don't come, it's tough. You gotta be on top of everything. So that's why. Otherwise, it's gonna take forever to finish. It was a lot of work. We're gonna replace the tiles. We're gonna have tiles on the side. It's all stuff we imported from Italy. So we will be open probably the end of January, beginning of February. The public, we're gonna have like maybe soft opening the end of January to see how what products work better, and then we're gonna be ready to start.
The evening started with Ilica's conference entitled Italian Americans, Past, Present, and Future. It continued with a dinner gala honoring two individuals, Stefano Pileggi, an innovator businessman, and the well-known author and journalist Maria Luisa Rossi-Hawkins. Let's join Ilica at Midtown Loft and Terrace.
The topic is Italian Americans, past, present, and future, and we are focusing on two books, one by Vincenzo Marra, one by Anthony Tamburri. In the first book, Vincenzo Marra writes, "My testimony should have shown that it is always easier amidst 1,000 difficulties to create a new success. The hardest part is sustaining and perpetuating that success because the competition is fierce." And from Anthony's book, all of this is dependent on an Italian-American commitment, impegno, to the application of our culture. Why did you write this book?
I believe that Italy is the crib of Western civilization. As we may say many times, we discover, we name it, and we built it, America. So why are we so critical about our status when we count many billionaires among ourselves? So I decided to answer to this book in my modest way, of course, by saying, look, that's what I've seen. And I think that I've seen harmony. What we need today, harmony. Peace is a big word, too big for everybody.
I've published two books in the last 2 years. One is called The Columbus Affair, Imperatives for an Italian-American Agenda, and this one here, Politics of Self-Omission, the Italian-American Challenge in a post-George Floyd age. Believe it or not, when people in, I'm not going to name names, Organization A or Organization B or Organization 3, to mention the top 3 in the country, when they make statements that are so outrageously in error, it eventually makes its way back to the academy. And we find ourselves in the position of having to basically not defend, but explain why certain things happen. That sense of the creation of false narratives that make people feel nice, that's the reason why I wrote, be it the first or this one here.
We are also fortunate today to have Antonio Giordano with us, another leader in a field. Not only is Dr. Giordano an oncologist, he's also a leading researcher in the field of cancer.
I remember that I was a co-Spring Harbor, okay, where I learned in a great way they were able really to go in the community and making understand how important was research, how important it was to helping in promoting science, in funding young investigators. And I created an organization that to date fund almost 400 individual scientists. That's actually of Italian origin, of which almost 70% of them, they went back to Italy, occupying position in hospital, university. Also because I was of the idea, and I am of the idea that many Italians that are immigrants here, they should somehow have the opportunity to go back and build back on the country and the place that generated them not only from the genetic point of view where they were born there, but in reality even from the cultural point of view.
Vincenzo Marra talks about culture as being a spare tire in his book. Anthony Tamburri many times has talked about culture as not falling off a truck. You know, the people in my neighborhood, if something fell off a truck, they had it. We got it. Culture doesn't fall off a truck. Culture is bigger than the spare tire, but what happens when the car breaks down? How much you depend on that spare tire. What we have not come to terms with as Italian Americans, and both books lead us to this. They both inspired me to say what I'm saying today, all right? They have inspired me to understand that we ignore the dis-ease that people have with Italian-American identity. Why do they have a dis-ease? They're not comfortable with it. I don't speak Italian, I'm not really Italian. You know, my other grandfather's not Italian. I just reviewed a book, it's called Fake Italian. This kid thinks he's a fake Italian because he can't be what his grandparents were, he can't be what his parents were, and he doesn't want to be what's on TV. And he doesn't speak Italian. But he feels Italian. What's he going to do with that? We have not figured out how to deal with this dis-ease. And if we saw, because it's killing our culture.
This issue of philanthropy is a very critical one, and many of the organizations, I would say they tend to allay their guilt by giving scholarships. Yet we know, anybody who sent a child to college, or if you've been to college, but I'm going to get to that, but also, what does $1,500 pay for? Pays for nothing. But I had a little bit of a back and forth today with a new leader of a major Italian-American organization about the scholarships, because I had the audacity of suggesting that maybe it didn't just have to be about the fact that one of your parents or grandparents was Italian. Maybe you should think about awarding the scholarship if somebody was studying Italian-American studies or Italian. And I was basically told, well, that how can you do that? They have to be Italian. And I'm like, that person who's studying Italian or Italian diaspora studies is going to do more for the future of culture than somebody who takes your $1,500 and, spends it on Papa John's. So this issue of education and passing on culture is a much bigger one than most people seem to understand. It's not enough to give somebody a check.
Well, my grandfather moved in 1900. He owned a lot of lands close to the Amalfitane coast. So he moved with his first cousin in this country. And then he went to Brooklyn. I said, oh gosh, there's no light, there's no water. I live much better where I am, I said. So he went back, then his cousin stayed here, and he was very successful. He became an orchestra director. Okay, so, and for us, let's put it in this way, it was hard, but was much easier, okay, for us to come here and to immediately to be integrated at a social level that where our great-grandparents wanted to be.
So far, what we're hearing from you is more of a positive picture than one might think led to the two books that we're talking about. So the next question is, given the divisiveness in the Italian-American community, both the scholarly communities and the organizational communities, I think we need to hear a little something about the difficulties.
The principle by which we invented the Ilica is to award those that we feel are going to be the new leaders. And throughout many, many tests, this young doctor made his man worldly known. So these are the real leaders. The difficulties that we have, and that is a message that I like to send to our institution, which I do that all the time anyhow, is not provocative. But do we realize that now the sons of those immigrants and those immigrants create a new culture? Yes or no? Because if we continue to call them paisa, we don't go anywhere. The problem is that by living here, being born here, growing here, you speak a different language, you have a different taste, you have a different attitude. But that's why we had to start from the culture, because the culture is not compromisable. You can't compromise the culture.
Not everybody in those positions of influence, if not impact, know how important we are to the fabric of the United States. And until that activity is supported, we're going to remain either fighting the fight like many of us do in the scholarly community, or there are going to be those, unfortunately, who are going to create these feel-good narratives of victimization only. And that's the last thing we need.
We believe that synergy and passion are key ingredients for this vision, and we remain committed to working with our institution and partners to create a meaningful and lasting relationship that will benefit our local and global communities.
It's a privilege to salute someone that's done more in his short life. He's not even 40 years old. They're all I've done all my life.
Congratulations.
Grazie a tutti, grazie veramente. Sono onorata.
You own Collezione. It's this wonderful name that sort of conjures up all sorts of things. Collezione is basically spirits.
Last year, I kind of had an idea to recreate for the first time in New York, visually a boutique that can experience the beauty in buying a bottle of wine or a bottle of whiskey or a bottle of whatever you like for the day, for collecting and for investing.
Well, we have come a long way. Now, correspondents are women. They don't wear a tie, but they're always very careful about what they report. It's a different style. It's a different audience. It's an audience that knows America. A lot of them know exactly what they want to find in somebody who reports, because everybody really has, especially in Italy, some relative, some friend, or they themselves have been in Italy. So it has to be done carefully.
A successful team wins when everybody knows how to play. It's not one player that makes the team. So thanks to all these young people, all these new recruits, all this passion that they're expressing, because that is going to be the future. Finally, I mean, we presented the idea in 2001 at the Italian Embassy. It's 2023. They got it. We got to start with the culture.
As we close this month's program, we want to wish everyone a peaceful and harmonious 2024. Thanks for watching this episode of Italics. I'm Anthony Tamburri. Arrivederci alla prossima volta.